このミスターメがうわクラウザーさん東京タワーをレイプし始めたぞ吹けタンバリンに続き今度は東京タワーレイプだ
Clearly we gotta talk about this one. So if you've never seen Detroit Metal City, you're probably thinking I'm about to tell you that it's actually this subversive anime about how artists are broken down and put into boxes as products to sell, and how for all the band pretends to be this anarchistic, anti-capitalist protest, in reality they're the biggest corporate sellouts of them all, selling cheap and offensive drama with no substance beyond pure shock value that we eat up like the sheeple we are because we lack the capacity to think critically about the art we consume. You probably are, but you're wrong, because it's trying to tell you literally exactly the opposite. And by the end of the video, you and I are gonna have the deepest conversation about art you're ever going to have. So this guy, Negishi, is this guy, and he hates it because he's an artist, goddammit, and this is just the most offensive shit ever. Not because there's any artistic merit to it, but simply because that's what sells. They even have a character called the Capitalist Pig who goes up on stage every night just so they can kick the shit out of him. Actually, before we go any further, I just want to apologize for how very unfunny this video is gonna be, because let's be real, there's no way to make this more absurd than it is. So anyway, the reason he hates it is because he thinks it's fake. He thinks it's not really him, that all he's selling is drama rather than music. And that's the core question at the heart of DMC. Can something that exists solely to make money still be art? Obviously, yes, but how and where do you draw the line between art and capitalism? And when does this question become meaningless? See, the twist here, the thing this anime wants you to realize, is that this blatant ode to capitalism has a kind of authenticity about it. When Negishi finally gets a chance to play the music he really wants to play, when he's told to just get up on stage and sing his songs about cakes and butterflies and not worry about screwing up because this is a nice place where everyone is happy and gay, they all immediately call him a queer and tell him to get the fuck off stage, twink, because he's a loser and everyone hates him. Whereas his band manager is at least honest about having zero tolerance for fucking losers. But not only does she tolerate him, she loves him because he's a genius. As fake as their message is, his talent is real. He shreds like a motherfucker, he plays the guitar with his face, and when he gets up on stage, everyone wants to suck his dick. His character might be a fraud, but he absolutely isn't. And that's the first thing it wants you to take away. Sure, the people are buying an image, but who says they don't know it's an image? DMC sells because there is nothing else like it. There's a sea of copycats all trying to ape their style, but all of them fail because the only thing they can see is the offensiveness. They can only relate to it on a very surface level. If people come see DMC because they can relate to it, because it appeals to something within them, but no one cares about the bland, sterilized pop music Negishi is writing by himself, which one is really soulless, and which one is really art?
I'm a terrorist. Light up the star! 東京タワーが感じてる!
When Negishi finally has enough of being a fake, he gets up and quits the band, and he's immediately replaced by some random dude that can play guitar. And you know what happens? People can tell. They can tell that this dude isn't the real Krauser. So, if he's nothing but a fake, how is he, and everyone else, immediately able to spot the fake Krauser? And what's more, he cares. Negishi sees the fake Krauser, and he cares. Why would he care? If DMC really was just an empty capitalist shill that sells American swear words for money, he wouldn't give a shit. But it's not, and he feels it. He feels how fake this fake Krauser is, and he hates it. And he hates that he hates it. He immediately gets back up on stage and kicks the shit out of the fake Krauser because there can only be one, and that's him. So, what then is he selling? If he's not just selling an image, if he's not an empty capitalist shill, what exactly is the real Krauser that people have come to see? Because all of this, the metal, the costumes, the ass fucking, the drama, it doesn't matter if it exists to make money or not. If people had nothing to take away from it, they would never show up. Let me show you this one scene where he goes with a band to a hostess club where he loses his shit at the girl, storming out and accusing her of living a fake life, of lying constantly, not only to him, but also herself. And she follows him out and turns this question on him, saying that she's living her most honest life, simply getting paid to relate to other people, but maybe the reason he can never trust anyone is because he's the one lying to everyone. And what you might take away from this is that he's angry because she's right, that he is the fake one putting on a mask of the god of metal, but hold up on that. He knows he's fake. I mean, that's why he hates DMC in the first place. And normally, when he perceives a slight, he runs off to put on his costume, creates some over-the-top drama, burns down a music festival, pisses on a dog. But what does he do here? He merely storms out of the bar. This is, in comparison, a completely rational response. And that's because the one being insulted here isn't Negishi, it's Krauser. The reason Negishi needs to run off to change into Krauser every time something pisses him off is because he can't express his anger as Negishi. He needs the costume to. He can't do it without it because what would the girl think? What would that say about him if he wasn't really the sweet and innocent boy singing pop music? So, the one being repressed, the one who's really a manufactured image, is Negishi. His real, authentic thoughts and feelings can only come out through Krauser, so what we find is that while Krauser is a performance, Negishi is the fake. And so the reason people have come to see DMC is because it isn't fake. This manufactured image, this inauthenticity, in fact only bring out the very real, very authentic emotions that their fans all feel. They're angry at their lives, at society, at themselves. And DMC is a type of catharsis, Krauser a walking avatar of rage. While DMC is fake, their anger is real, and DMC's music speaks to this more than anything else. So while being the demon god of metal is very much an act, Krauser is, in a very real sense, literally the demon god of metal, because what he's become isn't just a musician, but something more than human. The scene you watched earlier where he goes and, quote, rapes Tokyo Tower. Why does he do that? It's because people believe that he can. When he puts on the makeup, they'll believe anything he says, and he knows they will. Going and fucking Tokyo Tower is the most ridiculous, inauthentic thing in the world, but they all take it completely seriously because of the sheer amount of conviction he does it with. Krauser knows that people want to see him rock. They worship him, they believe in him, and the reason they believe this is partly, as we mentioned, because he does fucking rock, but also because they want to. What we find is that as Krauser, it's suddenly impossible for him to fuck up. When he falls down, everyone watching just assumes he's fucking something else on the ground. When he gets a new haircut that makes his head look like a dick, I mean, that's metal as shit. I mean, bro, it's a dick. When he shits himself and gets up on stage, that's hardcore as balls, man. He can never do anything wrong as long as people see him as Krauser. It's like a superpower. What we find is that the art he's selling literally becomes art through the act of selling it. Krauser is Krauser because the people have elected him as their god. What he's really selling them isn't Detroit Metal City, the band. He's not selling them an image, he's selling them themselves. They're a band, he's a singer, but he's not selling them music. He's selling them their own primal convictions back to them. Art is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The point isn't so much to think critically about the art we consume, it's to think critically about the art that is consuming us. Listen, art, true art, is not fun. It's not a game. People do not sit down and make art for a good time. Now, this isn't to say that art can't be fun, but rather that all artists suffer. We make art not because we want to, but because we must. Let me share with you a thought experiment I often come back to as a critic. I think of art as the next step in human evolution, as a separate entity that is, in many ways, alive. Like how animals exist to procreate, driven to self-preservation through the act of intercourse, humans are compelled to create art. And While, like us, a few strung zeros consumed at a karaoke bar on a Friday night can be the genesis of art, it is not the parent. Art can only be born from the struggles of the human mind, because for what purpose do we exist as humans if not to produce art, to leave our mark on the universe, to carve out our thoughts and feelings and ideas as something, anything that will exist beyond our pathetic mortal lifespans? For what is art but a simple cry for help, a voice that shouts out, "I was here"? Art is, in itself, an act of suffering, and creating art is a response to the existential dread bearing down on each of our lives, the answer to the call of the void, a wish merely to be heard from little sacks of flesh on a tiny, insignificant blue speck floating along in the infinite expanse of the universe. Art is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is both a parasite and the reason for our existence. So, the reason Negishi constantly battles with the idea of why he can't quit DMC, why he keeps making art that he hates, is because of this. We don't make art because we want to. We make art because we must. The reason he cannot give up DMC is because Krauser is, in effect, art. Whether or not Krauser is a product is irrelevant. Krauser needs to exist. Krauser must exist. And Krauser needs Negishi in order to exist. So, well, the question Negishi asks himself is whether or not this is him. Whether Krauser is just an excuse for his shitty behavior, for his cowardice. The question we, as readers, need to ask is, does it matter what Negishi thinks? Maybe Negishi has been consumed by the art he produces. Maybe it has destroyed his life. But does this even matter? For if we exist to create art, and Negishi has given birth to art in human form, maybe, just maybe, this life is more important than his own. Because, okay, hold on, this is getting a little pretentious even for me. I started watching this because my friend Pat sent me a silly meme about anime Gene Simmons butt-fucking Tokyo Tower, and it left me with all these questions about the nature of art. And, well, as I, a critic, but more importantly, a viewer, like to pretend that there's some answer, some absolute truth buried in these stories, the truth is that there isn't. And that's something we need to be okay with. But that doesn't mean we stop looking. It just means that the important part is that we ask the question in the first place. And so maybe the question to be had here is, please subscribe. Wait, no, that's not a question. Wait, no, don't go now.